Guys, where to start? So, I'll preface this thing with, preface this video with 4 points. One, as you could just see by down south, there's a storm. It's super cool out right now, a lot cooler than it normally would be. Oh, I don't know if I caught that on film. But yeah, there's a lightning storm. I don't know which way it's moving, but it's been there for a while, so it's probably moving this way or east-west. So hopefully I don't get caught in anything, but I'm heading north, so I don't think I'll get anything. 2, I'm obviously, as you can see, filming this at night, so got the exposure all the way turned up. Got the exposure. So hopefully you guys can see everything. If not, well, just listen. 3, I don't agree with anything that occurred in regards to police intervention in the videos that I am referencing today. And you can find those, I'll have those videos linked on the screen. I'll also have them in the description, so you can click on them. But if you do decide to watch them beforehand, make sure you open them in new tabs so you can come back here and give your thoughts and listen to what I got to say. And 4th, you'll notice I finally got mirror block-offs, so you guys can stop asking me why I have 3 mirrors. I just have the 1 now. Let's go slow. No one's behind me. I want to see if I can catch some lightning. No, come on. Alright. So, and I just missed it. Let's talk. So the 2 videos I am going to be referencing today. One is the checkpoints that were set up. I don't know if there was more than one, or if there was just the main one at the wall that Double T and Yummy had in their video. But the police of St. Louis, I don't know if it was St. Louis Police Department or Missouri State Troopers or what, but police set up a checkpoint where the I guess right of the century was set up, or starting out, and they were IDing and asking everyone for their IDs, registration, insurance, etc. Second video I'm going to be referencing is the video of the inn, the Red Roof Inn, where cops were towing bikes that were warm, and Mischief had a video of that, of one of the people actually talking to the cops, trying to stop them from taking his bike. And then Double T also had a video of, because he was staying there, I guess, he has a video of the whole ordeal during all of the hours that this was happening. So those are the 2 videos I'm going to be referencing. The reason I'm going to be talking about these, what the cops were doing is just disgusting. It's complete BS. Abusing their power simply for the fact that they're angry at the sport bike riders of Ride of the Century. 2, on the other side of this, lots of people are either being given false information or have false information themselves about what the law is around these situations. And people are freaking out about what was done and basically just all out 100% fuck the police, and that's it. The ID situation. So what happened is, and again, link in the description, at the wall, the cops were asking all the bikers for their ID, insurance, checking their bike, checking the VIN number, the VIN on the bike, and making sure everything matched up. They had all up-to-date tags and whatnot, and allowing, I guess, 2 people at a time to go through. Now, people, this is the first thing that people were getting upset about, that the police don't have a right to ask these people for their ID, check their bikes with no reason or wrongdoing. And that is not true. By federal law, police do have the right to set up checkpoints. This is usually used for just DUI checkpoints. They do not have to have any reason to believe that there is wrongdoing. They can have the checkpoint as long as it's done in a civil manner without any reason for looking into it. In this situation, obviously, it wasn't a DUI checkpoint. It was just checking ID, insurance, etc. Interesting enough, it is actually required that you carry identification identification with you at all times, and police have the right to ask you for that identification. Like, you can't. It's not something you can refuse. It's not like a sobriety test, which is a point that Baker X Derek made, that you can. He said, you can refuse checkpoints and DUI checkpoints. It's partially true, not entirely true. You can refuse sobriety tests. So sobriety tests being like touch your nose, stand on one foot, say the alphabet backwards, walk along this line, things like that. You can refuse a sobriety test, and by all means refuse a sobriety test, because it's one less thing that can be used against you. And why it's such a bad thing to accept to do is because it's completely subjective. It's at the discretion of the cop to say what your sobriety test showed. Like, he could be like, you were wobbling a bit, or you slurred slightly in your speech. It's all subjective. It's his word against yours. Whereas a breathalyzer is basically cut and dry. And people can argue whether the accuracy of a breathalyzer, but it's a lot less subjective than a sobriety test. And yes, you can refuse a breathalyzer test, but police have the right to administer a breathalyzer test either at the location or at the police department, jail, etc. So if you do refuse a breathalyzer test, it increases the amount of probable cause that they have that you could be under the influence, and they can take you in to do that breathalyzer test. You can refuse this, you can have a lawyer present and everything like that, but it's not like a sobriety test where you can just straight up refuse it. So those are the laws around that. Yes, it was completely ridiculous that they were asking everyone for their IDs and registration and checking everything, but they have the right to do so, and you're not really in a situation where you can refuse that. Here's the reason they're doing that. You have thousands of bikes that are attending Ride of the Century. I think everyone can agree that with sport bike riders, you have a higher likelihood they're going to be engaging in some hooligan activity, wheelies, running from the cops, etc. It's not passing judgment. I'm a sport bike rider myself. I think a lot of that, I think wheelies and stuff is awesome. Oh, is this wet? But it is a higher likelihood by percentage that they will engage in these activities, especially with the history of Ride of the Century and everything that's happened with these. So, why are they doing this? To check all the information on riders, essentially try to get as many bikers off the road as they can for whatever bogus reason they want, that your color doesn't match on the bike, that you have an illegal exhaust, that your bike may be, who knows, a stolen bike. The VIN may not match. You may have something that's out of date. Anything that they can use to try to keep you from joining in on this. Is that questionable? Yeah, but that's one of the reasons that they're doing this. Two, to check for things like that I mentioned. You know, stolen bikes, mismatching paint colors. If you watch Cycle Cruiser, he's another motor vlogger. He was stopped by the cops because his bike didn't match the color that his license plate said it was. When you have a situation like Ride of the Century, where you're going to have a lot of people doing some hooligan activity, and they're going to be trying to identify these people that are doing it, and you have bikes that are mismatching in colors, they may say, oh, we're looking for a white bike, but then when they look up the white bikes that could be there, they're not going to be coming up with a white bike if for some reason you change your fairings to red or something like that. So that's another reason. That's why I believe they're doing it. Try to get as many people off the road and to get as much information as they could about who is going to be participating in this. But no, you couldn't refuse showing the cops your ID. And yes, it was legal for them to do the checkpoint. Second situation, the Red Roof Inn. So in this situation, we have, on the surface, what people see is going on is cops checking bikes at this Red Roof Inn for bikes that are warm and towing them or impounding them. When you dig deeper, that's not all the details of what happened. And Mischief did clarify in the comments on this, but there is some inconsistency in what lies here. So the story is there's a group of riders riding through the city and doing stunts. Also, I've passed my exit. I've gone all over the place. I have no idea how I'm going to get home, but we'll just go this way. There were riders running through the city doing stunts. I heard that they had run from the cops. Who knows if they did, but they were doing stunts through the city. So when you come back to the situation at the hotel, they are checking these bikes for warm bikes because it shows that these bikes were out and they could have been involved. Now, is this illegal? Everyone's complaining. They're calling it theft by the police. It's not actually theft, and it is legal. So the situation we have on our hand is suspicion of criminal activity, of either stunting or running from the cops. And because the bikes are warm, there is suspicion that these bikes could have been involved in this these stunts. That is probable cause for them to seize the bike for further investigation. Essentially taking the bike to an impound lot because it could have been involved in the activities. It's called civil forfeiture. If police have any reason to believe, any suspicion that a vehicle was involved in criminal activity, they can impound the bike. Do I agree with this? Hell to the no. I think it's ridiculous. Regardless of what they were doing, running from the cops, doing stunts, the fact that they were just going to this hotel or motel, I don't know how close it was to where this was happening. I don't know if they were doing it at other locations, but they just decide they're going to go to this hotel and impound all the bikes that are warm. Major abuse of power. Major, major, major. I commented on Mischief's video. I commented before I did all this research, but my comment still stands. It literally made me sick watching this video just because what the cops were doing was complete BS. They weren't asking any of the guys questions, rightfully so. Usually cops don't, but weren't answering any of the guys' questions, any of the guys' statements saying you don't have the right to do this, even though technically they do. there was a little thing about videotaping him, and the guy's getting mad that he was recording this. But this was the owner of this bike that they were about to take this bike away, and I don't agree with this at all. I mean, you have something that happened, who knows where. You're going to this specific place and just impounding all the warm bikes. Double T and Yummy were there. Luckily, their bikes weren't warm and they didn't get them impounded. But it's just a ridiculous situation. Taking a step back, who knows if this guy was actually involved? We don't know that. The video ends without us even knowing if the bike gets impounded. Maybe it was, but the video ends. We don't know what happens after this video. All in all, we don't know the aftermath of this situation. But I have an issue with what the cops were doing, but I also have an issue with this guy was doing. The cops come, they are, I guess, given instructions to impound this bike. They say it's warm. They're asking him questions, whatnot. This guy keeps on talking. He keeps on stating what the laws are, what his rights are, answering the questions that they ask him, and that is a big, big, big no-no. If you are ever in a situation like this, you do one of two things. You either be polite or you be quiet. If you're in a situation where the police are going to do something that you don't like, arguing with them and trying to prove your point is never going to get you closer to the result that you want. Whether it's a speeding ticket, whether it's just a minor traffic violation, or something as major as this where they're going to impound your bike, I don't care how much innocence you have or evidence of wrongdoing they have. You either be polite or you be quiet, because you're not going to do yourself any favors legally or specifically in this situation with getting the result that you want by arguing with the cop. Do you want to argue? Yeah. Are you angry? Hell yeah. But you should not argue with the cop and try to prove your point or your knowledge of law in the face of the police, no matter how big of a douchebag they're being, which these guys were. I mean, you got this, these cops are just ridiculous. But this guy, he kept talking, and you just don't want to do that. But for all he knows, for all we know, if he had just, cooperated with the cop, come down there, been like, hey guys, what's going on? This is my bike. I'm just curious as to what the situation is. Listen to them and just be polite and be quiet. They could have just let him go. But because he was acting defensive, there is no way that they were going to just let him off. So that's my issue with him. I still don't agree with the whole situation. I don't. But they legally had the right to take his bike, and you never want to become defensive and argumentative with the police in a situation like that. So those are my thoughts. Those are the laws. So for everyone that was confused or angry about the situation, believe me, I'm still angry, but there's a little extra information for you guys so you can form a more involved, wholesome, if you will, opinion on what happened at Ride of the Century 2013. I still think the event is awesome, ridiculous, all of those words. I really would like to go sometime. Even when you see things like this, I mean, you just got to be careful and hope for the best. But I think it's unlike anything else, and I would love to experience that. But those are my thoughts. You can take it how you want. You can agree with me or disagree with me, but The only thing I ask of you is that you leave a comment below. Really, guys, if there is any video that I wanted you guys to leave a comment, this is it. I want to know your thoughts. So leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion started. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Be sure to share it so that we can get more people in on the discussion. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. 5% sure. Gonna be doing a vinyl wrap on my car, Zoe. Gonna be doing a 3M 1080 dark matte gray on Zoe.